In this edition of SMA Journal, repair work begins in St Joseph's Church, Blackrock Road. In Benin, we see how Parish Aid for Africa helps a community build their church. And memories of SMA presence in Liberia during 14 years of civil war. St Joseph's Church in SMA Blackrock Road has been closed for some time due to issues with the plasterwork in the ceiling. We are glad to say that work has now commenced with the arrival of scaffolding to continue the assessment of the ceiling and to also begin remedial work required. This is expected to continue until later this year. While the church roof and ceiling in Blackrock Road are under maintenance, Sunday Masses only are celebrated in the Porta-Cabin at Ballantemple National School, Boreen Manor Road, and alternative arrangements have been made for funerals, baptisms and weddings, so all details are available from St Joseph's SMA Parish Office. A fundraising event for St Joseph's SMA Roof Fund will take place in St Michael's Church, Blackrock, featuring the Cork Light Orchestra at 3 o'clock on Sunday the 19th of April. It'll be a lovely afternoon of uplifting music to which all are welcome to attend. Meanwhile, the Parish Aid for Africa, PAFA, continues their charitable work.
St Joseph's SMA Parish in Blackrock Road is proud to be involved with and support in Parish Aid for Africa, PAFA. PAFA's funds come mainly from monthly church collections and some donations from members of the parish. This money is then used to provide grants to support SMA missions and projects in African countries. Through PAFA, we as parishioners are able to make meaningful difference in the lives of SMA missionaries in Africa and in the lives of the people they work with.
The most recent project that PAFA have supported is a church building project in Benin, which is directed by Father Jarokaidas SMA from India.
Today is Easter. Wish you happy Easter. We have just inaugurated, even though it is not completed. The church is not completed. Very soon we will complete. And we wanted to inaugurate this chapel on this day of Christ's resurrection. So this is the people of Igamba. You see how many people are there and the children. So we celebrated Mass for your intention also. We thanked you. We thanked in the beginning of the celebration. I thanked your community. The PAFA, Parish Aid for Africa. I told the people that they have to pray for them. So we are thankful to you and your community.
By supporting the PAFA Fund, we can live out the gospel values of love, compassion and solidarity. We can show in a very practical way that as members of the SMA Parish here in Blackrock Road, we take seriously our responsibility to reach out and support those in need, regardless of the geographical boundaries.
The Liberian Civil War, which began in 1989, has been described as a horrific and satanic period of 14 years, which claimed the lives of over 200,000 people. For the duration of that war, SMA priests from Ireland were a significant and continuous presence in Liberia, risking their lives to support their parishioners and also their fellow missionaries. Among the many stories of that time was the rescue of Fr Lee Cahill, who worked in a town 200 miles from Monrovia, which was overrun by rebel forces. There were great concerns for his ongoing safety, but Fr Lee Cahill SMA, who was regional superior of the SMA in Liberia at that time, was offered an opportunity to drive up country at considerable risk to bring Father Larry to safety.
We got word all right that the place where Larry was was overrun and that he had been taken away, but where they didn't know. It happened that one evening we got a call from one of the political leaders of one of the many military groups that grew in. They were in control of that area where Larry was. And this gentleman sent for me and said, if you can enable us to get a few people from here to where Father Collins was, or where he might be near, we could give you an escort. Now, there's a quid pro quo there, and you talk about principle. Do you fall in with assisting crooks in doing this? But anyway, cutting a long story short, we did it. It was arranged. We would take the mission truck from Monrovia. Now, we couldn't go the main road because that was occupied by Taylor and the Territory. So we'd have to go through the mountain forest, which at times was just tracks, and that would be 200 miles plus. And it would be going through 80 of those miles were in the opposition territory. But I was assigned a couple of men who were obviously going to Zorzo for something that concerned that group. It was Ulimo was the group. And I didn't know and wouldn't know what they ostensibly they were saying it was to see was it true that certain houses were burned down, but that may or may not have been true. But that run, which took all day, was hair-raising in many respects. The leader that was escorting me, he certainly knew they had been through this territory. One of the things in our favour was that the group that occupied that 80 miles, they did not frequent forest. They were a guerrilla group, but they did not avail of the forest. So, but if they did, we'd had it. There was no getting away with it. So we went through 80 miles of their territory on this 230-mile trip, getting there in the late night and going through corpses, because this town that we were coming into had been in conflict in a couple of days, so the place was stinking, and that was a policy, and to leave the corpses there to let the people know we were serious. So when we got there that evening, they put us up. They said we would see Father Collins the following day. They didn't tell me where he was, but that following morning they said he wasn't where we were. But he wasn't too far away. It was actually just 5 miles to the Guinea border. And in that place there, Larry was there with the people from the hospital in the town he had left. They were fairly okay. They weren't Larry was looking quite well. So the following morning we were allowed to return with the same leader carrying us the whole way in. The image I have of us leading 6 o'clock in the morning, because it would take all day again, leaving at 6 o'clock in the morning, we're going off with the sun rising, and as we were going along this dirt road getting out of Zorzo, a deer started running along the side of the road, and the guys in the back with the guns started shouting, "Stop, stop, stop." I wasn't going to stop at all, I couldn't, but anyway, they shot the deer. I kept going, and your man, their leader, said, "Okay, go, keep going." So the sooner we got out, because we had to go back through the same territory again. Larry would refer to it later as my escape. You know, this was hairy. It was 2 days. We never know. I know. The morning I was leaving, Father Tony Jennings, who at that time had gone through a terrible time, into his 70s, he came to me, and I went to confession to him, and he said, "Can I come with you?" That I will never forget. There's no way I would have him with me, because he'd suffered an awful lot in the previous 3-4 weeks. But I'll never forget that offer. But it would give the idea, all right, that well, it's unknown territory we're going into.
The return journey, while hazardous and stressful, was without any critical event. And finally, Father Larry was safely returned to Monrovia. But Father Lee Cahill, on one of his many challenging journeys, recalls a chilling encounter with one of the notorious boy soldiers.
Absolutely horrific, satanic. I'll relate this to you. I had just left John Feeney, God rest him, another great man who had his own escape as well, but I was just after bringing him back to his mission, again going the road where I was the only civilian that had a permit for that road. But when I had left him in his base, coming back, terribly hot, dusty road, coming into Kakata, and there was we have the checkpoints every mile, roadblocks as you call them, with either a rope across the road, and on the stick the rope was tied to the skull. And there were 5 or 6 that had been youngsters, teenagers, with the Kalashnikovs sitting under a tree. I pulled up to the rope, and this nipper comes down, and I always remember the dirty t-shirt was down below his knees, and he tried to hold up the Kalashnikov on his shoulder. The boys were letting him do the routine, and so he went through the routine, stopped, looked at him. Where are you going? So I told him where I was going. Where are you coming from? Told him where I was coming from. What's your name? So I told him my name, and I said, what's your name? I said, what's your name? They call me Small Man. Small Man, I said, how old are you? How old are you? I'm 6. Oh, he might have been 7. But the image that stays with me from that kid there, the skin of a child, but the eyes of a man. His childhood was gone. And Paul, in Liberia, a country a little bit bigger than Ireland, at one stage you had 25,000 of these kids with their Kalashnikov just roaming at will over the country. All they knew was how to take a Kalashnikov apart and put it together again and fire it. Now, the leader of these guys is doing 50 years at the moment. I won't make any comment.